Așa că următoarea persoană care ajunge la noi la Cluj-Napoca pe ruta Cambodgia, Ucraina, Japonia, Jim Bagnola.
Yeah, this other shoe. Peter, you need some shining? Yeah, come on. Oh, how do I shine those? I don't know. Let's see. Oh, that's right.
Thank you.
Sure. Oh, that's good. That's nice. Very good. Very good. Oh, yeah. Good.
Doamnelor și domnilor, Jim Bagnola!
What is he doing? I walked into a hotel in Dallas, Texas, and I had to give a talk to 200 engineers who were building the Dallas area rapid transit system. And before I went there, I looked down at my shoes, and they were not looking good. They were looking like Fred's shoes. I needed shine. But it was 6 o'clock in the evening, and I thought, probably the shoe shiners have gone because it's so late. I entered the lobby of the hotel, and one shoe shiner was left, but he looked like he was cleaning up to go home. I went over and tapped him on the shoulder. He turned around with a big smile on his face, and I said, "Do you have time for one more?" And he said, "If you need a shine, I'll make the time." I sat down, and I said, "Well, you're here pretty late." And he said, No, I'm here 6 days a week, 12 hours a day, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. 12. And I said, "Would you mind me asking you how old you are?" And he said, "I'm 72 years old, working 12 hours. And I said, 12 hours a day? He said, "Well, my wife doesn't want me at home." So I said, "My name is Jim." He said, "I'm Leroy Grant." Leroy Grant's the first story in my book. For those who have read it, you know, you're familiar with Leroy. And I said, "Nice to meet you, Leroy. Leroy, how long have you been a shoe shiner?" And Leroy said, I'm not a shoe shiner." "Oh, well, what are you?" He said, "I'm a leather technician." And I said, "Well, what's the difference between a leather technician and a shoe shiner?" He said, "I'm an artist, and I'm on a mission." And I said, "Well, what's your mission?" He said, "I beautify the world down low. And I guarantee my work. You'll get the best shine you ever had in your life. And you can come back in. If you can't buff it up for 2 weeks, you come back in and I'll give you a free shine. If you walk in the mud, stay home. It's your fault." "Wow, how long have you been a leather technician, Leroy?" He said, "This year, 60 years. 60 years. So I started when the country was under the influence of the Depression, and my parents said, "You have to, help us with money." And so you've got to work. So he sold newspapers. But he used to look in the barber shop, and these shoe shiners were laughing and having fun and enjoying themselves. He said, I want to do that. I don't want to sell newspapers. So he went to his father, can I do that? His father said, you won't make any money shining shoes. Keep selling newspapers. So he thought, I'll go into the barber shop and ask the owner, can you teach me how to do that? And you don't have to pay me. I'll just work for tips. Just tips only. So the owner said, I see you working hard out there. I think I'll do that. I'll teach you, and you can work in here and sell your newspapers. After 3 months, he went to his father. He said, I made this much money selling newspapers, but I made this much money shining shoes. And my dad said, son, time to shine shoes. So he started shining, and he's been shining. He said, if you come in and I'm not here, you're going to meet my vice president, my son. And I put 2 other sons through college shining shoes, 3 sons through college. And I said, man, you must love this work. And he said, I love it. Look at my office. And it's this beautiful hotel lobby. And these are my phones. There was a bank of pay phones. These are my phones. This is my office. And I meet interesting people all day. I am my boss. I don't have a boss. And I have a wonderful life. I'm healthy. I'm happy. And I said, wow. Everybody should have a job like yours, or approach a job like you approach yours. Just before I left, and I did get the best shine I ever had, I asked him, because he had a white shirt and a tie on, Leroy, how do you keep your shirt so white doing this kind of work? And he said, son, you change it at lunchtime. Change his shirt. I went in to give my talk to these 200 engineers, and who did I talk about first? Leroy. I said, look, if you do your job like he does his job, this is going to be the best rapid transit system ever. You need to go and meet Leroy. Fast forward several months, I went back to Dallas, and I had another client there, the Kroger company, and I finished with them, and then I thought, I need me some Leroy Grant. Inspiration. Went across town, headed into the hotel, wondered if he would remember me, and I'm walking towards his shoe shine stand, and he's working, and he glances, he looks at me, and I came up to him, and he said, are you the guy who went and gave a talk about the leather technician? And I went, yeah. And he said, I owe you money. For the next 3 days of that conference, they lined up. All the other shoe shiners, no, they want the leather technician. I had the best business in the world. I've never made so much money. You don't owe me money, Leroy. I'd like to be like you. At 72, I want to be like you. Now, what I want you to do, because my job is to give you the leadership slant about how we're developing leaders in our schools from children on up, and how corporate education should also be like child's education. We're developing leaders everywhere. So what I want you to do, I want you to get up from your seat, stand up, go and meet somebody that you haven't met yet at the conference. And I want you to tell them why you think I consider Leroy Grant a professional human being and a leader. Why do I consider him that? Why do you think? Why do you think I should consider him that? So get up, go meet somebody new. I'll blow a whistle when it's time to stop. Go. Yes?
It was very nice.
Thank you.
Very nice surprise.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Nice to see you. I will use this one. No problem. Pardon?
What did you do to them? What did you do to them?
What did I do? Energizing.
This was really.
Here is on off.
Oh,
That's okay.
I forget. Thank you. It's on right now, right? Yeah.
The Portuguese were talking about quiet time. That worked for me to say.
Yeah, say quiet. It is quiet time. Ladies and gentlemen, and Americans, one of the things about great leaders is they don't desire to be great leaders. They start out by desiring to serve. So the first thing we learn about leading is serving. Service. Beginning of September, I was in Japan, where I have an office. And at the end of a presentation, somebody raised their hand and said, "Could you tell me about the law of attraction? How do I attract money? How do I attract relationships, success? What's the law of attraction?" And I thought, well, pretty simple. Two things: happiness, energy. If you have happiness and energy, you can attract everything you want. And then you serve people using that energy and that happiness. It's very attractive. At the end of September, I was in Ukraine. And it was like this conference all day long. And people were tired after 6 hours. That's when I went on as a speaker. And I looked out at the audience, and it looked something like you looked when I first came up. Like that. You've been sitting a long time, so had they. And I spoke for 2 hours. At the end of it, one of the ladies got up and said, "Excuse me, are you a hypnotist?" "No, do I look like one?" She said, "No, somehow we had no energy, and by the time you were finished, we're all energized. Did you manipulate us?" I said, No. "Then what did you do?" And I thought, what did I do? "Oh," I said, "that's love. You feel love." I love my customers. So the next thing about leading is about love. I never thought about it until she asked me the question. What do we feel from each other? Feel love. And I feel like serving you in this way. These are kind of fundamentals of leading. The best way to find yourself is in service to others, said Gandhi. So service, underneath, you must be the change you wish to see in the world. Everybody's heard it. You have to model whatever it is you want other people to do. You have to be it. Then you have to manage what's in your mind, what you've allowed to be in your mind, what you do with your mind, because the mind is connected to the physiology. And what I call leading is management of energy. That's leading, management of energy. So energy management is something we all have to do, our own energy and the energy of other people. Peter Drucker was the Austrian who's the father of leading and managing people. He said, your first and foremost job as a leader is to take charge of your own energy and then help to orchestrate the energy of those around you. So first of all, you should be taking care of yourself, especially the ladies. The ladies take care of everybody else, and they're last. They're the battery that recharges everybody. And you know what they say about the oxygen mask on a plane? What do they say? Put yours on first, and then on the children you enjoy. Oh, wait a minute. Wait. Maybe they don't say the second part. But they have something called compassion fatigue. And a lot of women get it, compassion fatigue. So first, you have to take care of your energy. Everybody expects you to energize them. So you have to take care of yourself. And of course, we're talking about meditation techniques and transcendental meditation, one of the techniques. All of them have value. What I want to know is which one can give me that energy to restore it, to renew it, because I use it and then I have to renew it. I got to recharge my battery. So this is the first thing that I believe that meditation does for us. And it works for, I've been doing transcendental meditation for nearly 50 years. It works for me. I think Tommy told you I'm Mr. Jet Lag. And I think your next speaker said to me, luckily you meditate. And I said, you are right. Without that, I'm not going to go very far. So leadership is management of energy. First yours, then other people. Jack Welch was one of the top leader managers, head of General Electric Company, a very large company. He said there are 5 principles, 4 E's: energy, energize, edge, execute, and then 1 P, passion. And I told him when I met him, but there's another one, expand brain capacity. There's another E. We need to expand brain capacity to compete in this world where knowledge is growing faster. Ignorance grows faster than the field of knowledge. The more I know, the more I don't know this day. If you're a PhD, you know I'm stupid. I don't know any, like Fred. The more you know about something, the more you know you don't know about it. It's a lifetime study. So he's not done yet. So expand brain capacity. Peter was talking about the capacity. It's like a bucket has capacity. I can only put so much water in that bucket. I have to expand the bucket. And this is what meditation does, expand the bucket. Here's another CEO of a large organization. He said, discretionary energy is the amount of attention you're getting from your employees or your students or your teachers if you happen to be a principal, or like Simona, the founder of a school. And it speaks to their willingness to be checked in versus checked out during working hours. How can I get people checked in and engaged in what we're doing here? Discretionary energy is a get up and go that if the employee is willing to contribute beyond the basic requirements of the job. The students need the same energy to get through the day. And they need something to release the stress they've accumulated during that day. Then they have to start the day with some coherence or orderliness in their brain function. So both are good, beginning of the day, end of the day, which we do at Maharishi University of Management, where I also get to lecture with Fred. Discretionary energy is the energy that an employee chooses to exert in service to coworkers or customers at work or not. Here's what I want you to do at your tables. Share with your table what else you do besides a meditation technique. How many people do a meditation technique in the room? Next time I want to see all the hands go up. As far as Peter said, this is no longer a luxury. Every meditation technique has some value. I know the transcendental meditation technique, and others have spoken on other techniques, because I know that technique. That's the one I practice, and I know the research. But each one has value, but none of them replace everything. In fact, they don't replace anything. They add to your routine. They allow you to experience other parts of your routine in a better way, a more appreciative way. So share at the table how you energize yourself. Are you ready? Share at your table. Go.
Healthier than mine, which is probably music and Netflix. And shopping. But that's energizing for the physical. Methods of energizing yourself. Nature.
Don't see some kind
încercare și încercare până că din cărți singur reușești sau că neapărat depinde de meditație. Nu ai nevoie să-ți arate cineva ce trebuie să faci, ca și noi. Eu am încercat și n-am reușit.
Teoretic știi să noți, dacă te ajungi în apă, s-ar putea să nu fie așa de forță pe cale să nu performezi la nivel la care ai.
Să mă reconectez. Da. Yoga, de fapt, înseamnă să meditație.
Da, și toate forme de meditație.
Sunt anumite posturi care deblochează mișcarea. Și ajută.
Ladies and gentlemen, what else do we know about leadership and the mind-body? Because techniques are mental, yet the body's involved, as you've seen with all presentations, especially Fred's. There's a mind-body connection. What's happening in the mind affects the physiology. These effects change us as individuals, and whether it's a school or a corporate entity, your organization will never be what you and your people are not. This is why we start with the teachers meditating. If they change, the school changes. Then the students change, the whole organization changes. So your organization will be what you and your people are: relaxed, less stressed. Stress comes from the amygdala hijacking. The amygdala, central figure to the limbic system, alerts the whole nervous system when it's threatened, either psychologically or physiologically, and all the blood is removed from the CEO, the cortex, where we can think and plan and be rational and be reasonable. It's gone. The blood is removed and it goes to the arms to fight and the legs to run. So children can't be under stress to learn. They have to release that stress. I mean, how many parents do we have in here? Raise your hand. Oh yeah, the tired people. Yeah, I see. Be honest with me, have you ever said these words to your child? How many times do I have to tell you this? Raise your hand. This allows for reasonable thinking, reasonable decision making, good planning, creativity. It's done here. This is our genius according to the Greeks. The amygdala is part of the lizard brain, it's called, because all animals have it. We're threatened and we react. So in the schools, we can't be threatened. We have to relax. I call it relaxing towards grace. To that unified field is, to me, grace. And it's from there that we have all other levels of intelligence. That's our raw intelligence. In leadership, we have to be emotionally intelligent, socially intelligent, gender intelligent, collectively intelligent, culturally intelligent, but all those intelligences come from one intelligence, the unified field, the raw, pure intelligence, which we contact when we meditate. Another CEO, my client, the Shell Oil Company, former, he said the ability to learn faster than your competitors may be, that's a misspelling, wow, may be the only sustainable competitive advantage left. We have all the technology, we have everything, we have marketing tech, everything, but our brains are the competitive advantage. And where do we start? In your schools. So we have to make those brains competitive from the beginning. We have to start expanding those brains from the start. And then I'm a corporate educator, so I want them to continue. And what's great about this is a 70-year-old like myself can have a 25-year-old brain. Very clear, very sometimes intelligent even, on occasion. This kind of mind-body connection influences everything. The individual, you've heard it several times today: health, happiness, success, and the capacity to lead. For the organization, it has vitality. There's job satisfaction. There's effectiveness and productivity, profit. And then we have leadership, which is really partnership. All of you have a job. All of us have work to do. Do you know what the number one reason for a heart attack is in the world? Teaching. No, I didn't even mean that. No. Number one reason. There are 10 stressors, they say, are the top. Smoking, high blood pressure, bad diet, lack of exercise, hypertension. These are in the top 10. Number one is job dissatisfaction. It's psychological. You got to love what you're doing. And second reason is a low score in the self-happiness rating. Remember, if you want to be attractive to others, you need to be happy first. In fact, our mentor said that happiness is it first. So what day of the week do most heart attacks occur? Monday, what time? Morning, when we're supposed to be going back to work. And who has some of the toughest work? Teachers. Highly stressful. So you need to be meditating. What day of the week has the least number of heart attacks? You think I'm going to die before the weekend? That's crazy. No, I'm going to wait till Monday morning. Especially in Romania. Maybe Portugal too, I'm not sure. Harvard has found some ways that really have the ego in charge, which means the limbic system is in charge most of the day, and at least they say 50% of the day. The limbic system is in charge, and I'm stressed. So what do I do when the limbic system is in charge? My ego speaks, not my genius. So I feel threatened. So when I feel threatened, I don't say what I think. I manage other people's impression of me. I want to look good. Covering up my weaknesses, I hide my mistakes. I talk behind people's backs. Now, I don't know what happens in Portugal, but in Romania, this is their number one hobby, is gossip. It's so much fun. The problem is we age when we gossip, so be careful with that. It's in my book, Study at the University of Zurich, 20-year study, shows that if you gossip, the listener and the talker, for the next 2 hours, their immune system shuts down and they have toxic chemicals flowing through their system. So if you like aging, continue the gossip. You want to speed it up a little? We want to look good. We want to be right. We want to be the smartest. We protect ourselves, the ego. We're defensive, reactive, avoid conflict instead of having thoughtful disagreement. Thoughtful disagreement means this is in charge, not the limbic system, not the ego. So what happens is this gentleman practices transcendental meditation. He said, TM is the single, or MT here, is the single most valuable thing I do that is responsible for my success. Why? Because it helps me manage the ego and the amygdala hijacking. So in his company, they root out all of those stresses, actually result of stresses, that we do to protect the ego. And it makes the environment clear, fast, efficient, productive. So what did they do? They're a hedge fund, so they invest other institutions' money, and they've been profitable 26 out of the last 29 years. And Mr. Dalio is worth $19 billion with a B dollars. He has more money than all of us put together, except for Fred. So he says, we have two yous inside of you. It's sort of like Christianity. On one shoulder, angel. On the other one, Fred. little devil. And they're both talking to us, and that's what happens inside of us. We're having this fight between the limbic system and the genius. And if I allow myself, it's called autonomic nervous system. There's a sympathetic part of that, and that's with emotion, and that's the fight or flight response, or parasympathetic, it's a relaxed state. So meditation is especially TM, scientifically speaking, is the opposite of the stress response, the opposite. So the more we have that opposite experience, the less the ego starts to have its dominance over us. And the more the genius has it, more love, more to serve, more to grow, more to accept feedback, not feel threatened or attacked by it. Here's one of the richest people in the world, Warren Buffett. My uncle. I wish he was my uncle. He says, I'm looking for people to hire, and when I do, you look for three qualities: integrity, intelligence, energy. And if they don't have the first, the other two will kill you. Especially in today's society, all we see are the challenges to integrity. Why do I recommend the TM technique? Not only because I've done it for so long and I've looked at all the research. What does it have to do with leadership, and why do I recommend it? So the first thing has to do with Fred's research. Remember, integrity, moral reasoning increases. Emotional stability, increase. Openness to experience, increase. And anxiety, both state and trait, are reduced, which gives us more energy. If you have anxiety, reduces the energy. So we're talking about almost all three things with just one study. But then when you look at studies on intelligence, well, our raw intelligence will grow. So the control group is on the bottom, it stays about the same. Students who meditated for a 2-year period, their IQ changed. By the way, when ego takes over and I go into fight or flight, our IQ drops 20 to 40 points. We become stupid. You're stupid in the moment. Do not ruin your IQ. Fred, am I right?
You're right.
See, thank you. Thank you for massaging my ego. I know. If I want more energy, I got to have rest. Deep rest during meditation. I need ideas to solve problems if I want to lead. More creativity. And then we want to become the person we've always wanted to be. So I'll tell you what happened to me. I've been a seeker since age 13. I lived in a Franciscan monastery at age 13 to become a priest. After a while, I realized there were no girls there. It was really disappointing. You too? See, some of us, and we had to leave. But more than that, they didn't have the answers I was looking for. And it wasn't really until first year of college when I think all of you probably have met this guy on the bottom but don't know it. It's another one of my uncles. Abraham Maslow is his name. Have you met him in school? And you probably met that. So I asked Dr., the PhD in front of me, I know about all those other things, but I want that top thing. How do I get it? And my professor in college said, Jim, Maslow found about 18 people who he considered in that category, and he considers that probably only 2% of the population will ever have it. And I really don't think you're part of that 2%. I was upset. Then I read this book called The Science of Being and the Art of Living before I started meditating. And in there, Maharishi Mahesh Yogi was talking about full potential, self-actualization. Then the research. Here's why I started TM. Increased self-actualization through TM in contrast to other procedures. And as I said, every procedure has some value, has some benefit. It's good. But this was 42 independent research studies and results, and the TM program was found to be 3 times as effective as other techniques and procedures at increasing self-actualization, which I want. I want that, enlightenment, self-actualization, using your full potential, and so does everybody. That would satisfy me. That's what I like, and it can be measured by Shastrom's POI. It's called the Personal Orientation Inventory, and I think that's used more than any other one. And there are many ways to measure it, but it can be measured. And I would like to tell Dr. Popplestone, I think he might be in heaven now, or I'm not sure where he went, after he told me I couldn't make it. But I'd like to tell him I score very high on that test. I'm not part of 2%. I'm part of the fact now that anyone can get into this 2% deal. We're all born to do this. All our students are born to do this, and we have the responsibility to bring them to this state. Utilizing full potential is called self-actualization or enlightenment. Enlightenment can be described as the ultimate development of what we ordinarily consider to be the most valuable qualities of human life. This state is open to everyone starting from any level of consciousness, and this, I talked to the physiologist who was Dr. Wallace, and Domesh was a physicist, and Maharshi was a Vedic scientist who came up with this definition. Because I saw the definition, I went to Dr. Wallace, I said, who made this up? And he said, all 3. Get my good side, okay? Thank you. Increased self-actualization, meta-analysis, almost 4 times actually. What is that? What is self-actualization? Emotional maturity, a resilient sense of self, positive integrated perspective of ourselves and the world. And then here are some specific things. Ability to live in the present, increased interdirectedness, independence, self-supportiveness, holding the values of actualized people, increased flexibility, spontaneity, self-regard, self-acceptance. See women as essentially good. These scientific people, I don't know why they don't include you. Increased acceptance of feelings, increased capacity for warm interpersonal relationships, can tolerate uncertainty, accept themselves and others as they are. Unusual sense of humor. I got that. Highly creative, resistant to enculturation, concerned with welfare of humanity, not just their own culture, like Donald Trump. Anyway. deep appreciation of life, strong moral, ethical standards. Everyone wants to be this. I remember a baseball player in the United States by the name of Larry Boa. They asked him, the whole of the Philadelphia Phillies were meditating, and they asked him, so what happened to you? And he had a really bad temper. And he said, you know what? I'm more like the person I've always wanted to be. I'm relaxed. I don't lose my temper all the time on the field. And I really liked that. It was years ago, I don't know, the 70s maybe? Do you remember? Remember Larry Boa? Yeah. So what we are talking about here is basically our energy is who we are. But we have to share it, increase it, protect it, recover it, renew it, and restore it. And meditation is one of the most powerful ways to do that. We spend and we restore. We spend and we restore. However, teaching is one of the professions, along with nursing and the medical profession, that are on burnout path. Because they give. They're working at home, they're working in school, they're worried about the students, they're worried about their own kids. They need to be restoring their energy, and they're not. They're spending, and not restoring. And where's the balance? So when people say work-life balance, it's the balance of spending and restoring. We need to increase our capacity, not just put facts and knowledge in the brain, expand the brain's capacity to know. We need to be happy. Essentially, this is the reason for life. Some of the oldest texts say the reason for creation is for the expansion of happiness. First sentence. Got to be happy. Love, service, ethics are the fundamentals of leading. What I'd like to do is, and I actually never gave a lecture like this about leading. I usually talk about mechanics of leading, what a leader needs to have in order to influence people to follow them. But this afternoon I wanted to give you some fundamentals beneath those. But now what I want to do is have a little exercise to end my session, to energize at least 40 people I need up here. 40 people. The rest of you will enjoy this so much. So I need 40 people. I need 20 people, 10 or 11 people on this side. You'll see two poles up here. These poles look like this. And there's one here, and there's one here. And I need 10 or 11 people on each side facing each other, on each pole. I guarantee this will be the most fun you ever... Thank you. Come on up here. This will be so much fun. Come on up. 10 or 11 people on each side of this pole. So here's your pole. Facing each other. 10 or 11 people. Then I'll tell you that. Thanks. The best looking people should come up. There you go. Now, I knew I could get some more people up here. Come on. Facing each other. 10 more on this side. You need to get some part of the pole. Make sure come around here. Make sure your neck, you have some part of the pole. We could use a couple more people. Yeah, come. Yes. If you stand up, if you look like you're raising your hand, you have to come up. Okay, go ahead. Now I'm going to tell you what this procedure is. I'm going to put the pole up on your fingers like this. You'll keep your fingers horizontal, and you'll be touching the pole, okay? The idea will be to now, as a team, put the pole back down on the floor with quality. Do not drop my pole. Also, do not put your fingers like this and pull on the pole, or put your fingers on top of the pole and push down. Not allowed, okay? You must have your fingers under the pole, and touching at all times. I will time you and tell you how the teams did based on 20 years of doing this with other teams. Okay? And the winning team will buy the other team lunch tomorrow. Okay.
How much time do we have?
Gee, you have as much time as it takes, but I want you're competing against each other, and you want to beat all the times we've ever had. So here we go. I'm going to put this one up first.
We have to keep our fingers like.
No, just under the pole. Keep it under the pole. Okay, ready, release, put it down. Okay, here we go. Put your fingers underneath that pole. Okay, and ready, and put it down. Keep your fingers horizontal. That's right. Look how fast it's coming down. Did we say to bring it down? Now, what I want you to see is when no one is leading, when there's no leading, there's chaos. A leader brings integrity to the group, brings coherence. So when somebody starts to lead, it'll start coming down. Listen, your mothers would be unhappy with this. Just kidding.
It's also a good exercise, and now you can tickle the guys.
Right now, there's absolutely no communication. Everybody's talking and nobody's listening. So what you have is everybody's trying to lead, but nobody's following. If there's no following, there's no leading. Leading and following together equals leadership. Now, we could go to dinner and come back if you want. Oh. Make sure you keep your fingers under the pole. That's it. Very good. Boom! Great job. Good job. Good. So, let's hear what happened. How do you think you did, by the way? How do you guys think you did? Average? Awful, average. So the average time that this takes to put this down with that many people is 6.5 minutes. They both did it in almost 5.5 minutes. So you beat it by a minute. You beat it by a minute. You beat it by about 1 minute and 15 seconds more. Good job. Now let's analyze what happened in the beginning. So first, the pole is here, and then in 2 seconds, it's there. So now this is called change, okay? Now here's what people look like. Some people like this. What? What? Other people just start laughing. Oh, a change. Right? Not feeling stressed about it. Didn't somebody say down? You know, other teams have gotten chairs and keep going up. Why? Because some people aren't hearing the goal. So you need to make sure people heard the goal. Are you sure you know where this pole is supposed to go? Now, here's what the other thing that happens. It's the pole is very light. So people go like this. Who's lifting the pole? It couldn't possibly be me. If you're not focused on your part of the pole and you look at other people's part of the pole's going up. Then, if adults yell at another adult, the adult says, you guys are holding the pole up. Oh, yeah? We'll show you. You cannot raise your voice and yell at an adult because they will sabotage you, consciously or unconsciously. But now, who had the idea, just let the pole fall? Here's our coach from this team. Yeah. What were you telling them?
First, I saw that somebody was with the hands very up, and I went to him, and I was talking Romanian, but he didn't talk Romanian. So like that. Now,
Yeah.
say, what language are you talking?
It's still off.
It's on.
What kind of language
No, it's
are
not.
you talking? And he said English. Okay, so we have to talk in English.
Is this poor guy right here? Oh,
He was the only one. So go down.
Chafach, Chafach, what
And
are
I
you doing?
started to put my hand on his head. Go down. You understand what he has to do.
So make sure they speak your language.
Yes, but at the same time, the entire group was looking at the other, at the others, the entire group.
Yeah. Now, I think, who saw them kneel down? Somebody saw it and said, let's kneel down? Because it's okay to see, we need to see what are the good ideas, because if you kneel down, you're halfway there, right? Who said that? Did you tell them to kneel down or somebody else?
To go down in 5 seconds.
You said it? Yeah. Somebody has to see it or it looks funny. Everybody's like this. So the leader sees something that other people do not. Then they have the courage to bring it up to the team to see if they can get followers. You cannot be a leader without a follower. People say, is there such a thing as a natural born leader? Yeah, a twin or a triplet. Why? Somebody followed them out. Everybody can lead from where they are. Not all of us want to lead a country or a company or a school, but we want to lead our family. We want to lead in school, our classroom. We lead where we are. So the idea is there were many people who led here, right? Many different people saying, 1, 2, 3, let's put it down. 1, 2, 3, down. Right? And then these people were afraid of their budget because they didn't want to buy them lunch. So they look over, whoa, let's go, man. Let's get going here. Because you were up here, and you guys were all pretty far down, and you caught up. But somebody who saw to kneel down here? Who said it? Somebody said kneel down?
It just came out naturally.
It came out naturally, okay. That happens too. But what we need is a leader-follower dynamic. A lot of people think followership is something negative. No, it's the essence of leadership. If I have an idea, I got to get people to follow me. If nobody's following me, I'm not leading. I'm just taking a walk. So you have to have good relationship. You have to have a good idea to solve the problem to get people to follow you. Once they follow you, you have this interaction of leaders and followers, And now we have leadership. It's leader plus follower or followers equals a power called leadership. So those are some laws of leading. And all of them need energy, ethics, right? Love, service. I want to help people succeed, correct? So you jumped right off of why did you jump off and started coaching?
Because I saw that everybody was talking and nobody was listening to nobody. So that's why I knew that somebody has to talk louder first to hear me, and then to see if I have the power to manage all this. That's why I started to say, let's count. Right. To have a rhythm, and that's why I was asking you, how much time do we have? Because I didn't want to compare to the other team, but because you didn't give us any kind of time.
Yeah.
They were our time, because they were
competing.
Not exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But
So
I didn't want
good.
to compete with them. I wanted to compete with the absolute, in what time do we have to do that?
So the desire to want to help and serve, I take the lead. I have some ideas. I want to see if I can influence people to follow me, which she did. A lot of times people go away. We'll do this. You. But you got followers. People listen to you. And the leader causes coherence to the group. When there's nobody leading, there's no coherence. So we're loud, we're up, we're noisy, nobody's listening. But then when somebody takes the lead, all of a sudden the coherence comes. And then you'll see the poles start moving. This is my favorite exercise because it contains so much about leading, following, and leadership. What else did anybody else see? Up here, anybody see something interesting?
Yeah. At some point, grazie. I believe that at some point there were a lot more people taking leadership, and then there was a little bit of conflict in leadership because one says pull down, but the other one said let's hold it and wait a little bit for the others. So that's what I saw.
Yeah. Now we can have thoughtful disagreement. And what that means is we stress test our ideas to see what is the best idea here. Who has the best idea? And you might say, let's try this one and then that one. But somebody has to manage that. So let's try this one first and that one. But what you also learned, there are many leaders, not one. And leadership doesn't mean the principal and all the teachers. Leadership should be at every level of the school. Every level of a corporate entity should have leaders. So if you want a leading school, you need a maximum number of leaders in the school. If you want a leading corporate entity, then more people have to lead at whatever level they're on. Does that make sense? Yeah. What else? Anybody see anything else? Yes. Yes, sure.
The importance here, because I don't understand. Well, it was a command, and I don't understand. So I got to look around, but and the bar growing up,
yeah.
And the objective is going down. And I said,
yes.
let me check. But it's so noise here. So you don't have here. Need more time to understand what this person want to do.
A lot of brain researchers like Fred would say most brains are like, if you ever go to a symphony and you hear them warming up, this is like most brains. But as soon as you start meditating, there's a brainwave synchrony. We have to have synchrony, some order in the brain. The same way for the group, we have to have order in the group because we have chaos. And so if all the parts of the brain are operating out of sync, then I feel like you felt just then. I thought the goal was here, and it went that way, and nobody's listening to me. I'm speaking Portuguese. I don't know why. But, physics. If you have 20-some people on a pole and it's that light, then if nobody's paying attention to their part of the pole, we're lifting, not allowing the pole to fall on your fingers. So they call this in the discipline the helium rod because it's floating.
So sometimes we react in stupid reflexes, that's what you see.
In a way,
Without thinking.
yes. Yeah.
No, just saying that we sometimes act stupid in nature without thinking.
Well, there's a lot of stress at this time because of change. The pole is here. Why is it there? And the whole audience was laughing. Yes. But can we pass it back to him?
We was like a team, no?
Yeah,
All.
sure.
But I think we miss first message. You say put down that one.
Yes,
Anyone put it up, not down.
yes.
First message was very important to know what to do in this.
The thing that I left out of this exercise that is necessary is planning. We have no time to plan. We just started acting. These are called Americans. 80% of our time we're acting, 20% we plan. In Japan, where I have partners for the last 7 years, 80% of the time they plan and 20% they act. So we need a plan. We need to develop a plan first, which I didn't allow. So we had to plan on the run. We had to figure this out while we're in the midst of this stress. And you're right, hard to think when we're stressed. Now somebody has to get us to relax. It's sort of like trying to remember a name, okay? The more stress you put on yourself, the name is now in Czech Republic. Then it's in Spain. Until I relax, and then it just comes to me. So we just saw the basic mechanics, leading, following. The leader has an idea, gets followers, and then we have a power that we work together to achieve that goal, to solve the problem. And this is called leadership. Thank you for listening to me and thank you for coming up here. Yes, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Good job. Thank you, Peter. Thanks for coming out. Peter, maybe you should learn a little Romanian, huh?
All right, let's allow not more than 3 questions for Jim.
Oh.
Okay? All right, 3 questions. So whoever has a question, oricine are o întrebare, pentru că suntem un pic în întârziere, un pic mai mult, o să lăsăm doar 3 întrebări.
There, right there.
When are you coming back next time?
As soon as possible. Thank you for asking.
Și încă 2 întrebări, ultimele 2 întrebări. Poftiți ultimele 2 întrebări.
Yes, over here.
Yeah, is following part of leading as well?
Absolutely. In fact, the first follower of a leader's idea is a leader. You see what you got it. Yes, good question. And it's not a derogatory term. A lot of people think if I follow, see, if you can't follow, you can't lead. We have to be able to play both roles on a team. Sometimes you have a better idea, I'll follow you. If I have a better idea, then you will follow me. If I don't follow you when it's appropriate, you won't follow me. So when a team has to know those roles, I have to lead sometimes, I have to follow sometimes. Well, thank you.
Mă simt acum un pic ca la bingo din ăla, cu ultimul carton. Ultima întrebare. Aici.
Everybody teaches leaders. Who teaches followers?
Very good idea. You. See, you're teaching kids how to do both. And they shouldn't feel bad that they don't have the idea that people want to follow. Right? You know, I see some schools, they don't like competition because losing is somehow bad. It's not bad. In life, we win, we lose, we win, we lose. We have to get used to both. The same thing with kids. They have to get used to following and leading and being rewarded for both, because each one is done appropriately. It should be rewarded.
And still the winners takes it all.
Well, the winners should be graceful in winning, and the losers graceful in losing, because it's part of life. It's okay. Most professional teams lose as many games as they win. It's all right, but you have to get used to it and be wrong. I don't have to be right all the time. I don't have to be perfect all the time. I just have to be natural. Perfect is not real. Imperfect is real. We don't have all the answers, and kids need to learn. It's okay to follow. It's okay not to win. It's okay not to have the idea that works here. Good question. That 3?
That 3, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Jetlag. Jim Bagnola.
Thank you. Thank you, Tommy. Thank you.